It's time for Chat with Chuck, live from Windsor, California, discussing stuff on Chuck's mind, life, attitudes, and stuff. And now, your host, Chuck the DJ.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday, 4/28, 2026. I'm feeling just a tad off today, but welcome, Black Sheep Kajira. The wife is in the house. Yay, Sam Nation, how you doing? I saw I'm a bad bloke and Burrito. How you doing? Yay, Burrito. How you doing? But I'm kind of thrown off because Deb's not here, and I don't know that's a little wacky for me not to have Deb here. So I'm hoping that I'm adjusting my seat. I'm hoping Deb's okay. I she loosened the shackles on me, so she allowed me to come in today. Yeah. It's gonna be a little fun. It's gonna be a little Chuck centric, maybe a little bit today. As we're gonna talk about parents, which is why I had the last song on that I had, and I got some input from some other streamers, some other DJs, about their parents and being supportive or not being supportive. And then, of course, we're going to open the chat up, for anything that kind of rolls, that kind of goes with it. I will give you, if those of you that are here early, I'll give you just a quick heads up that there is a small chance, there is a baby chance that we may have to end abruptly and early. Kajira and I are welcoming, hopefully, a new roommate in today, and they're supposed to be here supposedly when they get off work at 4:30. So we figured that would be close to 5 when they do show up. We do this thing. We joined this website called Furnished Finders, and it's originally well, I don't know if it was originally, but it's kind of set up primarily for traveling nurses and the such that get booked or whatever at a hospital for like 3 month stays. So it's great for us because that way somebody can come in for 3 months and they can hang out. We can save a little money on rent, and then they go away, and then we can either get somebody else in or we can wait a while or whatever. So it's not a full-time roommate deal. So that is a good thing. Travelnurses.com. Yes, right there, Kajira's right on top of it. Thank you, sweetie. So yeah, so if that happens, we have a lady named Carla who's supposed to come in, and but it's weird because I texted her this morning and she hasn't responded. So she ghosted us. I mean, or she's just busy. She's at work. They can't let her have her phones on when they're nursing away. So I don't know. So we're gonna have to wait and see how that all rolls, and that could be a whole nother discussion. Because you and I have never owned our own house. We've always rented, and I must look into this. Well, you know what? It seems like a pretty cool. We had the last guy that we had a guy in. His name was Bryce, and he was here for I guess 3 months, and he was going into the Culinary Institute of America. He was studying to be a chef, CIA's Culinary Institute of America, and the restaurant that they had him, I don't know, stationed in, whatever you want to call it, hired by, doing an apprenticeship in, was not too far from our house. So he stayed with us while he was going through that apprenticeship at that 3-star Michelin restaurant. Kind of a whoop-de-doo. We never made it up there. We probably we probably couldn't afford to eat there. But so that was the last cat that we had here. So now we're gonna have a new cat or a kitten. I don't know. I guess cats are male or female, right? Doesn't really matter. So that may or may not happen today. We're gonna wait and see. If for some reason they have ghosted us, we'll just find somebody else or kind of hang out. May is an extremely busy month for me, DJ gig wise, and so I think I mentioned this a while back. streaming in May is going to be off, on, off, on. And if I'm not mistaken, a lot of the Tuesdays that I already have lined up, or maybe half the Tuesdays, I will be unavailable for Chat with Chuck, so we won't be doing Chat with Chuck. My Wednesday nights are pretty much gone. For my Wednesday night, usually, midweek stream is gone, pretty much gone. So anything pretty much I do in May is going to be a pop-up. I am signed up for the Prince Raid Train, of course, because we can't miss my Prince Raid Train on the 24th. In fact, it just popped up in the chat. So if nothing else, I will be on the Prince Raid Train. I am the caboose on the Prince Raid Train on the 24th, which I'm a bad bloke, a.k.a. Johnny, almost famous, just loves his Prince. Just loves his Prince. So he doesn't want to miss out on that. There was a little brouhaha, little discussions there on the last train. Sam Nation actually is involved with that train. Also, he does our flyers from it for it. And I'm not really sure, Sam. Why don't you ever? I mean, maybe you have, but you don't normally stream. You don't normally stream on that train. So I'm kind of surprised as Sam used to work actually with the purple one, with Prince himself, and so has a direct connection. And I want to say for 9 years, if I remember correctly, if that's what I remember, but I could be wrong on that one. And as a graphic artist and all that kind of stuff, and yeah. So Sam does all the Prince Raid Train stuff. I did a princely things. Yeah. Whoops. Yeah. 9 years. Okay. And my chat's whipping through here real quick all of a sudden. So I'm trying to. No, I did a weekly Prince show on Monday, so I'm kind of burnt out on Prince. Okay. I got you. Because you reminded us that our young surfer chef dude that we had, he bounced his checks here. We had to have him get cashier's checks after that for rent. So yeah, that's when you're dealing with renters, that's you never know what's happening. Grammars, oh my gracious, Grammars is in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Somebody shoot a shout out for Grammars, king of the creepy crew, which I am now a member of. And of course, Grammars is here. I think the one time that I'm doing a show where I don't have normally. Those of you that are shootout, yeah, do a shootout. Those of you that normally come to my shows, you know that normally in my shows I have logos for the Creepy Crew and Long Live the Legends, which is the Swifties that I'm on. And of course now he comes in and I don't have it on this particular show. I don't have it, but anywhere else I do have it. So and I want to thank Grammars for letting me be on the Creepy Crew and that kind of stuff. Volvo 850, how you doing? Welcome in. As usual here, we kill a few minutes here before we get into the meat and potatoes of some kind of the stuff. And today we're going to be talking about parents. If you are a DJ in real life doing IRL gigs, this is kind of aimed at mainly so much you 9-iron. Oh my gracious, 9-iron. We got all the stars in the house today. DJ Ryan, my Pookie, welcome in, DJ Ryan. Welcome on in, everybody. I appreciate everybody being here, and I appreciate the support that you all have shown me. Boy, for some, I got something in my throat today, and unfortunately, it's nothing good. I'm gonna crack open my Dr. Pepper here. So we're gonna get rolling here real quick. Ryan, how you doing? Welcome in today. DJ Ryan 22 lives about a half hour, 20 minutes from me. We worked out. In fact, I got a gig with him that I'm working for him as a roadie kind of thing in a couple of weeks. That's one of my couple of my days in May that I was talking about being so busy. And if you've never caught Grammar's show, make sure you do that. And 9-iron too. Both guys just tremendous shows. Grammar's is one of those what we've called before. We've talked about this before on my show. A mega streamer where he seems like he streams like I mean, if he streams less than 6 hours, I think that there's something wrong. If I'm not mistaken, it seems like whenever Grammars is on, he's on for these just extended periods of time, doing all this really kind of stuff and amazing. Nine Iron, another just amazing DJ in the. I guess Nine Iron would be more housey. Is that what? Is that what? There's so many variations of house these days. At my show last night, I played Yacht Rock House, which was interesting. It's the first time I'd done that. Yacht Rock, but remixed into housey beats. That was last night. So I'm at Nine Iron does great stuff. So and I've been missing Nine Iron shows for some reason. I don't know if I've been too busy or if you've changed your schedule or what it is. I've just been missing your shows. I apologize. So, but thank you for popping in. So great streamers, and then DJ Ryan normally streams on Tuesday nights. Does a different theme usually each month or each week, and then on Wednesdays nights he streams. He teaches country line dancing at a club here in town, real close to us, and he streams that live. Oh, thank you, Nine Iron. And watching Ryan, you can if you want to learn how to line dance, you can watch he teaches, and then he plays. I don't know. He teaches for the first hour, hour and a half, something like that, and then he plays another hour, hour and a half of open, and then they do the dances and stuff like that, and it's crazy because I watch these people do these steps, and I'm like, how in the hell do they remember all that crap? So yeah, that's fun stuff. That's one of the cool things about Twitch is just the variety. Twitch is not all 80s and house music. The, there there are some things other than 80s and house music on Twitch. There are. Sometimes you have to dig deep and try to find them, but there are there are things that are on Twitch other than 80s and house music. So yeah, that's and of course games, but that's a whole nother thing. We DJs, as we know, we're a small baby part of Twitch. So all right, I think it's 4:12. We're getting close, and we're gonna delve into parents. And I want to before I get started, I want to remind the chat that please, it is called Chat with Chuck. It's not just Chuck chatting, but I do chat a lot. But if you have if you have something you want to pop out, you want to share, you want to get off your chest, please feel free to do that in the chat. Whether it is actually along with the theme, or if it's just something pops in your head you want to throw up, because we're open around here. We're easy to get along with. DJ Ryan says, thanks, Pookie Boo, for the line dancing advertisement. Yeah, it's great, man. Wednesday nights, 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Your time zones may vary. We do record this show and put most of them on YouTube. So for those of you if you are listening on YouTube, you know that sometimes I do get off. The train runs off the track sometimes. I forget where I'm at. Because I've got so much going on, or the chat will say something and it'll throw me off what I want to get on. But we do have that 7:30 Pacific Standard Time for Ryan tonight, and then or on Wednesday nights, and then whether he streams tonight or not, I don't know. And chances are, I don't like to go against my Pookie. I don't like to stream against my Pookie. So if Ryan doesn't stream tonight, chances are I might. If he does stream, generally speaking, I don't stream against Pookie unless for some reason I'm just in the mood and I say screw it, I'm going against Pookie. We do share some of the same audience, unless he's doing his Twangin' Tuesdays. If he's doing his Twangin' Tuesdays, I don't give a shit. It's open. I can go against his Twangin' Tuesdays. That's all right. And we do give each other a hard time sometimes, but we are the closest of buddies. We are so close. All right, so let's get into this. Supportive parents is kind of where I wanted to get to, and I did as I do. I sent out a notice questionnaire to DJs that I knew that were on Twitch that were also full-time streamers, or not full-time streamers, but streamers and DJs in real life, not just Twitch streamers, because that was a kind of a different thing. Because and I don't know. I have talked about this before. I've brought it up occasionally I don't know, different conversations. My personal parent. I've been a full time DJ since 1985. I went full time as a DJ in 1985. I've been a DJ since 1969. Was my very first DJ gig in 1969, and all through that time, even from 69 to 85, well, I wasn't full time, and I did have like a real job. I was a union butcher in a grocery store, and I got married and stuff. There was always the DJ thing, and it was always in the background. And sometimes it'd be like it'd be once a month. Sometimes I'd be doing, and it was mainly school dances. Kind of how we got our start here, and but there was always there. And so basically from 1969 to right now, um, the DJ world has been in my life. Chuck and Gajira are like my supportive parents. Love to them. Follow bad. I'm a bad bloke, and he does his own music, and he used to be in a couple bands, and I can never remember if I'm supposed to announce the fact that what bands he was in. But if I announce the bands, you would know them. And he's got a great YouTube channel where he's doing his solo stuff, and he's done some wonderful stuff. He is supportive, not like my parents, which is where we're heading. My parents were not supportive of my DJ thing ever. I mean, ever. Um, even back in the day when like in junior high and high school, pre-driver's license, when we would get events, and there was like three or four of us that were in there. Two Kids Lynn, good evening. Hi, welcome in. And back in the early days, the company was called, oh, Dark Angel, I don't want to collaborate. I got a little note from Dark Angel. There was like three or four guys, sometimes five guys. We'd all get together. He would bring a tape deck. This guy would bring a speaker. We'd bring lights. We had a big light show, big, very, very 60s style light show. Um, uh, Liquid overhead projectors, for those of you that are old enough to remember what those are. Back in the day when Kajir and I first met, she actually used to do some of that kind of stuff for us. But going to the events, my parents would never drive me, would never say, okay, I'll take you or I'll help you. It was always the other guy's parents that would meet us ahead of time, that would allow us to put whatever crap we're taking to the event in their cars. They'd take us to whatever school we were going to go. We'd unload. We would do the show. The parents would leave. Then the parents would come back at 10 or 11 o'clock at night in their cars to take us all home. My parents would never do that. My parents were not supportive. They didn't care. They were just not that way ever. It always relied on all my other all the other gentlemen Spectrum Mobile DJ was the name of the company, and it always relied on those other parents to do that. Once I was old enough to drive and get my own car, that was a little bit different situation, because then I could get around and whatever. But the early days, they were not supportive. They when I would try to buy gear or save up money, or at Christmas time, hey, what do you want for Christmas? Hey, I could use some new speakers, or I could use some new lights, or I could use anything, records, geared for the business. They would never buy anything. They would never acknowledge that aspect of my life. Mr. Lattenhouse popped in. Mr. Lattenhouse, how you doing? Welcome in. So that's kind of where this thing kind of got started. And then once I went full time in 1985, I had been a union butcher in a grocery store. They were very proud of me when I was a union butcher. It was a real job. It was union. I was making money. That was the kind. And then in 84, I have an agent that started booking me into, again, he was big in school, started doing school dances, and I was taking time off work, and I was taking more and more time off work. So finally got to the point of, well, do I want to keep being a butcher, or do I want to go out and do this DJ thing? And I would always enjoyed the DJ thing. So I said, well, I'm going to go do the DJ thing. I did not think it was going to last as long as it has lasted. I assumed I would go do the DJ thing for, 2, 3, 4, 5 years maybe, and then I would go back to being the butcher thing. Didn't happen, obviously. But when I did do that, my parents, I don't want to say practically disowned me, but they were very unhappy. They were very disappointed in me. The only time that my parents showed any kind of support was one time they lived at a golf course, at a golf course resort community thing, and one of the schools I was doing had their prom at that school at the golf course's clubhouse. That was the only time my parents came and saw me. And after that, and I was driving this like, I don't even remember what year it was, just this beat up old van that I had bought secondhand from some I don't think it was another DJ, I think it was from a band or something, but it was a piece of crap. And my dad was a car salesman. And so my dad said, look, if you're going to keep doing this, we need to get you, a good vehicle. And that was when I got my first a real brand new Chevy van to load my gear on, and my dad helped me. That was really the only time my parents were supportive of my career. Even even after 10 years or whatever, and I was making more money than my father doing my DJ thing, and they kept asking me, when are you going to get a real job? Jimbo Slice Chicago, another moderator in the house. How you doing, Jimbo? Hope the weather's good over there. You did retail butcher apprenticeship? Yeah, I was. In fact, now you can't see, but I cut my finger off as a butcher. I think the very first van I had, Mr. Lattenhouse, was like a a 69 or something. It was a van conversion. It had all the stuff taken out of it, but I still had the shag carpet inside the van. I think it even had shag carpet on the roof. I think it did. And it was green and had a white stripe around on the outside, and it was like just disgusting. God knows what they did inside this van. And like I say, I think a band got hold of it. But and it was a shorter one. And the one I got was a longer van, and then the next van after that was a extended van or whatever. But that was the whole point. The whole point of that was that was the only time that my parents or my dad, I don't think my mom had anything to do with it, was supportive at all with that. When I was in school, when I was in high school, and I was DJing and doing all this stuff, and I had a lot of this stuff at my house. And some of you have heard this story before, and I know my wife has. When I graduated from high school, I went to work at the summer afterwards. I went to work at this resort by a lake, and while I was at the resort, my parents decided they were going to sell the house that we grew up in. And when they decided to sell the house, they didn't tell me they were going to sell the house. I didn't even know about it. I came home to do my laundry. They were gone. I didn't know where they were. But what they did was they threw away everything that I owned, basically except for my clothes. So everything I had from my childhood, everything that they deemed as childish or a toy. I was in Boy Scouts. I had all my Boy Scout camping gear, all that kind of stuff. I mean, everything they just threw it away. Basically, they kept my clothes and I think a bed. So anything that had to deal with my DJ stuff, that was gone. Everything was gone. When I turned 18, when I graduated from high school, that was all gone. So I had to restart over. That's my parents. That's my story. That's my story. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So I was wondering and I don't know why a week or two ago this popped into my head, and oh, poor Chuck, I was wondering, how other parents of mobile DJs, how were they? How were those parents? Were they supportive parents? Did they help you out? Were they nice? Did they da-da-da-da-da-da? Or were they like mine and completely unsupportive, or somewhere in the middle? At least acknowledge the fact. And like I say, when I was making more money than my dad, and they kept saying, "When are you going to get a real job?" I think I mouthed off. I said, "Well, when are you going to get a real job?" There was a lot of there was a lot of static there, and unfortunately, my parents have passed. They're gone, and that was an issue that was never resolved. And I will say, if you have any issues with your parents, you know, resolve them. Resolve them. If you've got issues with your parents, if you've got something from your childhood or whenever, um, try to get them resolved so you're not like me, and so you don't have the parent chip on your shoulder that when you're 70 years old, that you're still complaining and bitching about. So, talk to your mom, talk to your dad, and I know that's not comfortable. I know it's not easy to do. That's why I never did it. I am by makeup, I'm a non-confrontational individual, and I never wanted to confront my parents with that stuff because maybe because I just didn't want to know what the answers were. Maybe I didn't want to know why they did what they did, why they raised me like they raised me. Maybe I just didn't want to know. Maybe not knowing is better than knowing. I'm a bad bloke. Said my parents were great. Bought my first guitar and amp for me, and paid for my music academy tuition. See, now that's awesome. So I would assume that once you, I don't know if your parents are still alive, but I would assume that once you made your mark, because you have made your mark in the music world, that anything you could do for them, you probably return that love and supportiveness, is that a word? Right back at you or at them. That's great. Jimbo Slice says, I was just house sitting for my dad and stepmom, replaced 14 light bulbs while I was there. Well, see, no, that's a son. That's nice. When my parents moved away, my parents sold their house that we grew up in, and they bought a double wide mobile home in a mobile home park. And I'm pretty sure their thinking at the time was, great, he's gone. We don't have to worry about him anymore. Their mistake was they bought a mobile home with 3 bedrooms in it. Here he comes. Your dad lives 4 blocks away. That's nice. That's good. Yeah. My parents weren't. I mean, it's not like I hate my parents or they were terrible or they beat us or they abused us. That wasn't the case. No, they were parents. Their attitudes were just there. My parents were from Indiana. I hope there's nobody from Indiana here. And they were of old school, of the way that you went to school, you graduated, you got married, you got a job, and you bought a house, and you had babies, and that's what you did. And if you did something, that's what my sister did. Um, and if you did something outside of that, well, you're basically just wrong. um, your Jimbo Slice says, my dad bought the house across from his mom. I bought a place by my dad, same neighborhood. See, no, that's family. All right. So anyway, I put the word out, and I didn't get as many responses back that I get on a lot of times when I shoot out a question for information for Chat with Chuck. And again, I'm not gonna out anybody. I'm not gonna name names. I'm not gonna say this is so and so and so and so, unless sometimes they specifically say that I can do that. But none of these people did. They all actually have pretty good stories. But let me read this first one. Says my mom supported all that I did because she knew me, and that I put everything that I put into it. My father, not so much. All you do is play records, was what I heard for the longest time, until one night I broke down coming from home from a gig, and he came and helped me get all my equipment out of the broken down car to my storage. This is when we played vinyl, and he asked me, "You carry all this to every event, sometimes by yourself?" And I said yes, and his tune changed. So um, that's kind of like a little bit a little bit like my parents, my dad at that point in time. My dad was not supportive at all, but the one time he did come and saw me, like I talked about earlier, he decided that, well, yeah, if you're going to do this, you probably need to get a good van, because I was traveling a lot. I mean, for me back in the day, if a gig was 2 hours from my house, that was close. I had an agent that was booking me 4 or 5, 6 hours from my house for not all, but I mean a lot of my events. But I would say probably normal time back in the day, a 2 hour drive to the event was kind of the norm. 3 hours, not out of the norm, but I would say 2 hours was probably the norm. So my dad, again, being a car guy, being a car salesman, he I think he understood the fact actually once he saw what I did that yeah I may not like what you do, I may not agree with it, but at least if you're going to do it, go out there and be safe. That was my dad. The one time that they saw me, and this individual, it sounds like the same thing. Once his dad saw what he did and the effort that it took to do what we do, especially back then with vinyl and whatnot. Um, Kind of, it doesn't sound like his completely went bonkers, because I think most parents want their kids to be uber successful. I know I want my daughter. My daughter's happy. My daughter and her wife are very happy. They're both doing very well. Probably a lot better than where I was at their age. And I want them to be a lot more. And parents say this all the time. I want you to be more successful than me. And I think that's a natural parent thing. And on some levels, if I would have listened to my mom and dad, been a little bit different, maybe what I'm doing right now would be different. But because you and I, especially, we've been married 34 years. I'm a Bad Bloke wrote us a beautiful song, and it mentions 34 years for our marriage in it, and we've had a wonderful life. So no matter what happens from this point, we've had a killer life. So. Yeah, it's been great. It's been great. So I think parents are like that. And once his dad saw what he did, his attitude changed. Once my dad saw what I did, his attitude changed a bit briefly, but it did change. This next individual says full support for my parents, and actually used to come and hear me play in his band, because he played in a band in his younger years. Because this DJ was started in a band and then went into the DJ world when he found out that band when we actually talked, but this is not written down. But once he found out that DJs make more money per band member, he saw the writing on the wall, because I don't really know when this individual started, but let's go back to my days when I first started, when I went full time, and my one agent had used to book me in a lot of schools with a band DJ combo, right? And I would usually come on and play an hour, then the band would play an hour, then I would play an hour, then the band would close it out. Well, generally speaking, right around, the band would make right around, 2,500 to $2,000, right? And I'd make $1,000, $1,200, but right around $1,000, right? So if you look at that per individual, I was making $1,000, and maybe I'd bring a light guy with me and pay him $100, so I was making $900. But this band that would have 4 or 5 guys in the band plus their roadies and yada yada yada, and they're making $2,500. I mean, per individual, that they're not making as much money as I am. And once this individual guy realized that, he kind of moved into the DJ world as opposed to the band world. I'm a Bad Bloke says, if your child is good at any particular sport, nurture it. Help them as much as you can. Money and success is in sport. Money and success is in sports these days. Yes, it is. Supportive parents, and I can understand. No matter what your child is trying to do, and you may think it's stupid. And my wife might correct me in this point, but if I'm not mistaken, at some point in her life, my wife Kajira, Black Sheep Kajira, wanted to get into computer stuff or graphic stuff, something along those lines, and her parents thought it was stupid, or because it was like in its infancy or barely there, and she wanted to go to a school to learn how to do this stuff. They as supportive as her parents were, this is not one area they were supportive in. Had they been supportive, she could have been designing Prince's memorabilia CDs and stuff rather than Sam Nation. So So the parents, um, uh, sometimes are so narrow-minded thinking, and they again, they want the best for their kid. And so if you're thinking something outside the box, whether it be a DJ or whether it be computer work back in the day, or things like that, they're no, we want you to get in there, we want you to do a union job. you know that's that. um, we're gonna move on here. We're doing pretty good on time. We're gonna have a little extra time here to talk about whatever. So if you guys are thinking, let me know. Okay, what does it say here? It says okay. Both my parents died before I started DJing. The only comment my dad had about my Twitch career was, "Why don't you get back into software where you made more in 1 hour than you made in several years on Twitch?" Yeah. um, for in fact, there was actually a post on one of the DJ boards on Facebook that I was on today, and the guy was asking, can you make it as a full time streamer DJ with Twitch or TikTok or whatever? And all these cats were saying no, 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 no. I chimed in. I said, yes, I can't, but you can, because we all know DJs out here that are making it. Some better than others, granted, that are making it as a full-time streaming DJ, and you can do it. And I know that when COVID kicked in, and a lot of us DJs jumped on Twitch. I know that. Well, I shouldn't. I shouldn't say I know all of us, but I know probably a lot of us hoped that we would be in that position. I hoped I would. I hoped that by jumping on Twitch and start streaming on DJing, that I would have that career on Twitch, financially, where I either wouldn't have to go out and do IRL gigs, or at the very least, I could be very selective on the events that I wanted to go out. Now, there is a couple of DJs out there that I know that have made it enough to that point to where Twitch is their main body of support, and that's great. So yes, you can, you can make it as a full time DJ, but it's such the the percentage of DJs that do that is so small. They're so small on Twitch that most of us are streaming. Yeah, you want to make a few extra bucks, be able to maybe buy that extra whatever, or go out to dinner a couple extra times, or maybe a little bit different vacation, or stay a little bit longer, or whatever, or just make it easier to pay your bills. And that's great. We're streaming because we like it most of the time, and we've talked about this before. I've retired from Twitch 2 or 3, 4 times, because of the drama, as we've talked about on Twitch before, the static on Twitch, with things that happen, things that you hear about, and things you don't want to get involved with, things that it's like, I don't want to be that supportive. I don't want to, that whatever reason. There's a zillion reasons to stop streaming on Twitch, but I've always come back because I actually enjoy this. I actually enjoy streaming. Even last night when I was doing my house, my yacht rock house, first time ever that I had played that. I had a really good time. It was so much fun. In fact, I don't know if he's still here or not, but Jimbo Slice Chicago hooked me up with a bunch of that stuff, and I had a great time doing it. I'm a Bad Bloke says, unfortunately, hard to make money composing songs these days. People don't buy the music, even though it's cheap. They just download it for free. My rant. Yeah, I'm a Bad Bloke. That's that. I think that's good. That's a good and bad platform, because yes, it's hard to make money doing that. But the flip side of that is so many more people. Mr. Lattenhouse. Yes, I keep dragging Mr. Lattenhouse back after he retired. So many more people can get music out there easily, So the variety or the style, stuff that we would have never heard of before, because people that were playing it, in their bedrooms or their coffee houses or wherever they were playing it, and they had no means to get it out into the world, at least to get their expression out there. Now they can. Now there is a way to do that. I can't tell you how many times as a DJ, as a mobile DJ that does weddings, or corporate events, that I get these people that are putting these events on that are like, oh, we want this song, and the only way you can get that song is on YouTube, because it's some song that somebody wrote, somebody put together in their home studio, and they put it out there on YouTube. It's not released by a major label or anything. So on that hand, it's cool that those people have that avenue. They're not making any money off of it, which is the bad part, which is the sad part. But the fact that they can put their art out there, I think that is so cool. I think that is so cool. It's sad that they can't make money doing it. I got a DJ friend, Celeste Lear, that does her own music, and she's not putting out as much as she was because she was banging her head against the wall, and I like her stuff. But she says the same thing. I mean, I don't know the exact numbers, but she'd put it out on Spotify or wherever you guys put your music, on Bandcamp or wherever, and she'd make $2 after a year of her song being out there with so many downloads. The money that they pay you is worse than the money they pay us on Twitch. Twitch absolutely screws us with that. But we're doing it because we enjoy it, not necessarily so much because, again, of the money. Most of us. All right, here we go. Next one. Here we go. I used to DJ in the mid-'90s. I did a lot of parties and quinceañeras back in the day. I stopped for two reasons. One was because I couldn't keep up with the music, which is hard. Back then, we didn't have the internet, so it made it harder to get music. And two, my family saw it as a waste of time. They never said anything bad about it, but I could sense that they didn't like me spending so much time DJing and playing at parties, so I stopped. I started back up again after Prince passed away. I saw a DJ on Facebook who inspired me to start DJing again, so I did. Well, yeah. Let me catch up with the chat here real quick. For those of you on YouTube, thank you for listening. Pay attention. If you're running down the street, don't step on the dog doo-doo. All right. Bad Bloke says, but it does cost to produce and get it out there. Cost me more to do one song than I've made in 18 months. Yeah. Again, and that is sad. I wish it wasn't that way. And this individual, back in the day, it was extremely difficult to stay up on the music. For me, I was mainly doing school dances, and so for me, every two events a week, usually Fridays and Saturdays for schools. Usually Fridays I was doing junior highs, and Saturdays I'd be doing high schools. And you put the request list out, you put the clipboard out with pages, and people were writing on them. And after a while, that song keeps popping up, and you go out and you buy that song. Back in pre days of like promo only, that was a subscription service that you could get pre-record pools. For me, that was a cool thing was I had a record store in town, a place called Harmony Music Store. They sold the 45s. Well, they would rent me the 45s for 10 cents a piece. So I'd have a school dance, and I would just go rent, a bunch of 45s. And then what I would do is I would take them and I'd go and I'd put them on tape, first reel to reel, later on cassette. And so I had this tremendous tape library, because then I would take them back after the gig, and then they would resell them to some other Yahoo that bought them. And I was always very careful with them, but that was great. Is ReadyBot mouthing off again? We almost lost ReadyBot. So that is still not completely solid, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So that was very cool. So getting records, getting music back in the day, it was a lot harder. Now, I'm doing an event, and a bride and groom will say, well, we want, our cocktail music, and here's a Spotify list. I don't even have to buy it. They just supply me with a link to their Spotify thing. Now, when it comes to dance music, that's a different situation. But cocktail dinner, a lot of times they're just sending me a list of for Spotify, and just you can do that. So it's a lot easier. People don't understand how even back in the day of having to carry crates of records. Well, some of you may do that have been around a long time. Carrying the crates of records, into the hall or a restaurant or building or wherever you're DJing, house party, whatever, and you're playing out of your crates, and inevitably somebody would come up and they would ask for a song that you had in the crate of records that you left in the van because you didn't think you were going to need it. So you either had to say no or put on Inagata de Vida and run out to the van or car in that case and get it and hopefully and bring it in. And so for those of you that are too young to know what Inagata de Vida is, look it up. So anyway, so that's that. Yeah, we talked about music. Okay, and here we go. Said my parents were supportive and thought it was cool, only because I was working another full-time job and had money to support my family. So yeah, they easier for you just to call me Johnny. Yes, I think if that's okay with you, I'll try to remember that. So yeah, her parents, as long as she was happy, this is a female DJ we're talking to. As long as she could make the money and keep the family happy and keep all the bills paid, her parents were supportive. They thought that was fine. There's not that many. Obviously, it's not the old, men's club or whatever, but there are not as many. There's not as many female mobile DJs, and I'm not talking about festival DJs. I'm talking about DJs that go out and do weddings or do corporate events or do bar bat mitzvahs or do birthday parties. And there's not as many females that do that. So that she could do this and have the support of her parents, I think that's very cool. I think that is very, very cool. This guy, this is the last one that I have that wrote back to me, said that I never did DJing as a full-time career, but they were very supportive of it when I picked it up as a hobby. So I mean, at least they picked it up as a hobby. At least doing it at all. Like my parents didn't want me to have. It wouldn't have mattered if I did it part time. I don't think. I mean, obviously, they never in that situation, but they just were never supportive of the DJ thing. They just thought it was a stupid, grow up kind of thing. Support your family. Do it like you're supposed to. Don't mess around with all that jazz. Just get it done. So that was parents. They just don't understand. Thank you, Will Smith, DJ Jazzy Jeff. So yeah, I mean, supportive parents. It sounds like that from the responses that I've gotten, and the few people that I've actually talked to that didn't actually respond in writing. It sounds like my parents were the extreme example. My parents were the extreme example of unsupportive parents. Now, my buddy Jeff, who's been my best friend since 5th grade, and was not a DJ, but as far as my light guy and building, things, whether it be trussing or designing lighting or whatever, throughout the whole year of the world of DJing, his parents were probably the most supportive of any parent that I'd ever met. His mom was the one that would have the truck most of the time, and she would even rent a truck once we got to get bigger stuff, and that would meet us at home or whatever at 2:00 in the afternoon or 1:00 in the afternoon, to let us put all this stuff in her truck, and then she would drive us to wherever and drop the gear off, and and then she'd go home or she'd go to a movie or she'd go wherever she would go, and then she would come back at the end of the night. I mean, I probably didn't, Mrs. McCann. I probably didn't. I should have put that on her tombstone or something. But God bless Mrs. McCann, because without her, I don't know how long Spectrum Mobile DJ would have lasted. So I'm glad that most people here had positive, supportive parents. I think that's great. Now, as far as the Twitch world goes, because we always try to. I don't when Chat with Chuck was set up, when I originally had the idea for Chat with Chuck, I didn't necessarily think it was going to be so Twitch centric. I like that word. I love that word, Twitch centric. I love that word. But because we're on Twitch and most of you are sitting here watching me through Twitch, it has become that way. We talk a lot about Twitch. Mr. Lattenhouse says my parents seen it as an investment. They bought my first set of Technics 1200s, a realistic mixer, some PV speakers, and around 100 records to get me started. See, now that's amazing. I mean, I would not talk crap about my parents if they would have done that. Um, you know, um, that you are so fortunate, Mr. Lattenhouse, to be in that situation. And I haven't heard that many stories of parents being that supportive. You know, the that is awesome. That's like Johnny's parents, buying the guitar or whatever, um, uh, just in fact, John, if you want to drop your YouTube link in there for people for your music, please feel free to do so. Um, uh, Johnny on his YouTube channel, Johnny Almost Famous, which I would hesitate to say I would take out the almost part, but doing some great stuff. Has written 3 songs, 3 songs geared for myself. One he told me a while back. He goes, "Hey, I'm gonna write," and he performs. He plays all the instruments and all that kind of stuff. He goes, I'm gonna do a song for you for golfing. I'm gonna call it Golfing with Chuck, right? And so I'm like, oh great, here comes, I'm gonna get some dumbass song about my dumbass clothes that I wear, or picking on my golf swing, or whatever, basically a Dr. Demento-ish Weird Al slam Chuck's golfing thing. It's kind of what I was expecting, but instead, burrito he is. And instead, I get this beautiful song, and he's not even a golfer. I get this beautiful song called "Golfing with Chuck," and the lyrics are so heartfelt and so golf oriented that you would think that he knew. You'd think that he wasn't a lawn bowler. He's in New Zealand. He bowls. He bowls on the lawn with bowling balls. He's a lawn bowler. But the golf world, I played it for a couple of my golf buddies, and they are just amazed. It is beautiful. And then there's John's YouTube channel, and if you want to click on that and subscribe, he's got a lot of great music, from some really heavy metal rocking stuff to some of the lighter stuff like he's done. He did a song for my wife Kajira and myself called "Still the Flame," which is a beautiful love song. He wrote a song for Burrito, his fiance, right there. Just lovely. I'm not even sure the Burrito song's on his channel though, but you need to get that Burrito song on your channel. And then my alter ego, some of you know DJ Head. He wrote a great song, just a hilarious, wonderful song for DJ Head. He's a huge fan of. I was, I was gonna say getting head, but that's another whole other thing. He's a fan of DJ Head, but he wrote a great song for DJ Head, and I'm not sure I think DJ Head song's on there. If not, it should be shortly. But anyway, check out John's page and like it, listen to his music and stuff like that. Okay, let's see. What do we got? We got about 6 more minutes left in the show today, and our roommate has not shown up. So hold a second. Let me check the phone. Let me check the phone. Okay, well, we may or may not have a new roommate. We'll have to wait and stuff. We'll have to wait and see. Yeah, Mr. Lattenhouse, check it out. DJ Head, it's a hilarious song. So we may have an opening. If anybody wants to come out to California, we may have an opening for a roommate very shortly. It's on there. DJ Head's on there. Okay, cool. Yeah, DJ Head, wonderful. I mean, I guess I could play it when we end up here. Oh yeah, thank you, Kajira, for dropping the DJ Head link. So anyway, okay. So before we roll out of here, um, is there um, is there anything anybody wants to you're coming because you're coming for the DJ Head show. Um, is there anybody that has anything they'd like to bring up? Is there anything you want to share? Okay, so not even about parents. Will work for golf resort privileges. But my golf resort is badass, isn't it? Isn't it, Mr. Ladenhouse? Um, uh, I got a show tomorrow night. I'm on. Hey, guess what? I'm on a raid train tomorrow. Can I send? Yes, Ryan. We have a joke with Brooke. Too many words, or all the words all the time. I'm on a raid train tomorrow, Thursday, Throwback Thursday. I'll be on at 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Canadian Dave. Ah, welcome in, Canadian Dave. Bill, you're keeping that streak alive at the very end. Canadian Dave sneaking in under the gun to keep that streak alive. There we go. See, there we go. I forgot what I was saying. Keeping that streak alive. I forgot. Um, there's Canadian Dave right there. So yeah. So anyway. Oh yeah. I'm on a raid train tomorrow. Throwback Thursday. 70s and 80s. Surprise, surprise. There'll be 80s music. Chances are there'll be a couple Purple songs in there if you're a Purple fan. I usually play a couple hours. I have a gig on Friday, so chances are I won't be doing like mega times. That's Friday. Tomorrow, my normal Wednesday night show, which I normally do a thing called Hump Day Mellow on Wednesday night, has been probably temporarily postponed because we have golf league and I'm not getting home in time to fire it up. So Thursday will be my next for sure show. So we'll work on that one. Any and there's that one there. We're looking. Oh, there it is. 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 There's oh no, that's not the one I want. Is that the one I want? Oh man, I don't have that. Dang it, John! I didn't put that one in there. Okay, well we'll do that one. Was I on yesterday? Oh yeah, I did last night. Yeah, I did my yacht music with a house beat last night. That's right. You weren't there. I'm sorry. You have to start your streak all over again. I'm not even sure. Has anybody seen Tang? Tang is like my streak master. I don't know if Tang may have lost his streak today too. So I didn't see Tang. So it's 4:58. I'm going to say thank you all for showing up, for being here, for being supportive of me. For those of you that have answered questions that I've sent to you, that's great. I do appreciate that. Black Sheep Kajira, my wife, my God, love of my wife. The reason I'm alive is right there at Black Sheep Kajira. Without her, I'd be long gone. Tang Fever is streaking at 51 on my channel. He's over 100 on mine. Neener. I do want to remind you, too, we've got this phone number going by here, right at 707-276-6602. It's free. Anytime that you want to call that, you can call. You can leave me a message. It's a machine. It's not going to go right directly to me. You can leave me a message. You can mouth off. You can give me an idea for a stream. You can pretty much say it's a porn hotline. You can make it a porn if you want to call that number and breathe heavy. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. You're up to 40. It could be in the lead. Who might be in the lead? I don't know if I can figure that out. It might be the man himself. It might be DJ Head. DJ Head might be in the lead. I don't know. There he is, right there, ladies and gentlemen. DJ Head. So he seems to be on whenever I'm on. I don't know. Go figure. Go figure. So what I'm going to do here right now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to do my little closing. I'm going to shut it down. I'm going to turn the show off, and then I'm going to play some music. I am going to start my show with my golf song that was made by John. So please do me a favor, hang out. Thank you for being here, and listen for the song. And if you haven't, come see, go see John's show on YouTube. All right, there we go.
Thanks for listening to Chat with Chuck. Have something you want Chuck to riff about? Send him a whisper and get ready to be entertained. I'm Greg Murray. Thanks for listening.